For this tutorial, we're going to be building the logo that you see here. Some of the key building components of this logo are the concentric chrome circles that we see here on the outside. We have lettering that we're going to interlace on the inside, and then a glossy glass effect that we're going to finish off with to give it that look of like a paperweight, a glass paperweight. So let's get started. I will start a new project, and I'm going to pick 900 by 900 as my starting point here. First thing I'm going to do is try to locate the center of the blank project that we have here. To do that, I'm going to click on the left ruler and drag it to the center. So there's our center, and then from the top I'll put a horizontal line. So so we have a good midpoint where we can create our circles. So the first thing we're going to do is create the outer ring of our logo. To do that, we're going to go to the Shapes tool, select Ellipse, and then create a circle from the center of the project. If you have your tool set to automatically do a circle, that'll be no problem. But if it's set to do an ellipse, just hold the Shift key down while you're dragging, and it'll make a perfect circle. So make that first circle as large as you can. Fill it with a black background, and then open up that newly created layer in the layers panel. So we're going to add some effects to this layer. First, we're going to start off by changing some of the items in the bevel and emboss selection. So we'll make the depth 1000%, and we'll change the size to about 24 pixels. And you can see we're starting to see that shaded area over here. The reason why we're doing this the depth at 24 is so that we can simulate that chrome look that we saw in the final version. So let's change a few more of the areas here. So we'll change the angle to 90 so that the light source is coming straight down. The highlight mode and the shadow mode, we're going to change those colors, but let's first make them normal mode. And then let's select the color for the highlight, and we're going to select a dark gray for that. And for the shadow mode, just a little bit lighter gray, but still in the dark range. Okay, so the gloss contour, we're going to make a double ring. And now what you can see is the chrome effect starting over here. To finalize that effect, we really need to lighten up the color, so we're going to change that from gray to white, and then once we do that, you can actually see the chrome effect around the outer ring. So as I stated earlier, we're going to create several concentric rings here, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's go again to the Shape tool, pick the ellipse, and then go back to the center and create another circle, just slightly smaller than the original. And then what we want to do is copy the effects that we put on the first ring over to the second ring. And to do that, we just highlight the first ring, put your finger on the Alt key. While you have that Alt key held down, just drag the FX over to the new layer, and the effects are copied over. Okay, so let's quickly do that for two more rings. Again, we'll go in, create a circle slightly smaller than the previous, and then we'll copy over the effects, and there's our third ring. So let's do a fourth ring now. Same thing, and we'll just copy those over. I'll close these effects down in the layers panel just to give us a little bit more room. There are four rings. So now we're going to create an inner ring that's going to hold our color. It's actually not a ring, it's just a background. So let's create that background here, and we're going to use a red background. So our default is black as for a fill color, but let's change that to white for now, and then open up this new layer in the layers panel. First thing we're going to do is go to the gradient overlay and change it from linear to radial. So now we have a black to white from the center, and that's our default here, black gradient to white, but we're going to change that to shades of red. So just do a single click on that gradient bar, and the way we do that is we're going to shade it from red to a different shade of red. So you click on the left stop, double click on that, brings up the color picker. So we're going to pick a dark red, hit OK, and you can see now that oh, actually the one thing that I didn't do was, let me back out here. When I created the project, I created it as gray, and what we need to do is change the mode to RGB so we can actually see some color. Okay, so sorry for that. Let's go back again, go to gradient overlay. Again, we'll go into linear style, and we'll change it to radial. Click on the gradient, double click on the left stop, make it red. Now we can see the red, and then go to the right stop and make it just a little bit lighter of a red, and hit OK. And then so that's our background color as red. Now to give it to the effect that the outer rings are cones that are kind of being elevated, and the red is sitting below it, we need to put a shadow around this red area, and to do that we're just going to change the inner shadow, and you'll see the effect as I do it. I'll change the distance to 0. I'll make the choke about 12, and then I'll make the size about 100 pixels. And as I'm moving the bar up to the 100, you can see that it's putting a shadow or a shade around the red background area, and that gives it the effect that the rings are cone, and we're looking down into that cone. So I think we're good on that for now, and since we don't have to create any more rings, we can shut off some of these extras, the rulers, the snap, and we can go from here. So at this point, we now want to create our letters, our interlaced letters. In this example of the logo, we're going to use a D intertwined with a C. So let's just start off with one of those letters to begin with. So click on your type tool and select horizontal type tool, and then anywhere in the background layer just click once, and I'm going to type a D, and then move that D down into the center so we can see the letter, and then we could add some effects to it. First thing I'd like to do though is, since we are using red, that's a white background we had there, let's make it kind of an orangey background so that we can just have it contrast nicely against the red. So let's use that, and there's our orange D against the red background. So why don't we just add some effects to that. So first thing we'll do is we'll double click on the layer, and we will just up the depth, up the size I should say, to 10. Okay, and then we'll add a little bit of a stroke here. Stroke defaults to outside, but we're going to make it inside. We'll make it 6 pixels, and we'll change it to white, so it gives it kind of a kind of a metallic effect here. And in addition to the color, we're going to add a little bit of a pattern to that, a marble pattern. So we'll click on Pattern Overlay, and then we'll choose a, let's see, a marbly pattern to put in there. That looks pretty good for a marble pattern. And in order to see that orange font color that we put in, we're going to have to take the opacity down a little. So let's take half the opacity away, make it 50%, and there we go. That's our D. So that looks good. What we need to do now is to duplicate this layer and add a C. So we'll have the C interlaced with the D. To do that, you can hit Control J on your keyboard, or just drag the layer down to the New Layers panel and make a copy, which I just did. So I'm going to double click now on the Type tool and change the D to C, and there's our second letter. So we have a D and we have a C, and now it's just a matter of lining them up where we like and seeing how it all looks. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move it down to about here, so that looks like a good look. So it's not centered though, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control and click on the D to highlight both the C and the D layer so I can move them together. And let's get it centered in the middle of our project, but also have it overlap the outer rings. And the reason why I'm doing that is because in the final product, the interlaced D and C are going to sit below the rings, so we're going to cut off some of the actual lettering to give it a nice effect. So while I have these two highlighted, I'm going to hit Control T and just make it a little bit bigger. And as you can see, I'm going into the chrome rings, and that should be fine. Okay. So at this point, what we want to do is we want to maybe twist the logo a little bit. Instead of having it straight up, I'm just going to just tilt it slightly, give it a little bit nicer look. And the last step here is we're going to have to get these two interlaced. And the way we do that is we convert each one of the layers to a smart object for the C and the D. So we'll go to the C, right mouse click, convert to smart object, go to the D, same thing, convert that to a smart object. And then what we're going to do is create a layer mask. And the way we do that is we go to the C layer, hit Control and hit click on the C layer. It highlights the C layer. And I'm just going to hit layer mask icon, and there we have our layer mask. We'll do the same thing for the D layer. I'll hit Control D on the D layer, highlight the D, and create a layer mask there. Now the reason why we did that was that we have to erase part of the letters to have it show through, to give us the effect that we are interlacing the two letters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to again Control and click on the D layer, and notice the D layer is highlighted. However, I'm going to erase just the part of the C layer that crosses the D layer, and I'll just highlight my erase tool on that layer mask and just erase, and you can see that it was constrained only to where the D crossed the C, and it now shows it as interlaced lettering. So I will deselect just to show you better. So there are our interlaced letters. So that looks pretty good. So let's again highlight the C layer and then Control click the D layer. So the C and the D layers are highlighted. I'm going to right mouse click and I'm going to merge these two layers, so now they're one object. And we did that for a specific reason, because what we want to do is we want to cut off the the items of the letters that are overlaying onto the chrome. So it gives that effect that it's underneath the actual concentric chrome rings. To do that, we go to the background layer, the red layer. We highlight that layer and hit Control click. So now you can see we have that highlighted, but we don't want to really highlight that particular aspect of the layer. We want to highlight everything other than that. So what we'll do is we'll go to our selection tool and we'll inverse. So everything now is selected except the red background layer. And then what we want to do is simply just hit the backspace and highlight the combined D and C layer and hit the backspace, and you can see it chopped off the areas of the lettering that were overlaid on the concentric ring. So that's the look we were trying to get. We were trying to get it to look like interlaced, but underneath the rings. So far so good. So we've got our rings, we've got our background, we got our lettering. Last part is we're going to try to actually put a glossy glass effect. So the way we do that is, again, we go to our ellipse tool and we create an ellipse. Now I'm going to hold the shift key down so I can create an ellipse over here, white, and I'm going to do it on the upper part of our red background. So I'm going to just make it a little bit narrower. I'll move it up a little bit. Okay, so that's going to give our illusion that we have light passing through. So what we'll do is we'll go back to that layer. I'll hit OK. We'll go back to the layer we just created and create a layer mask, and then go to our gradient tool and just simply swipe up on the layer, and it'll give us a kind of a clear see-through for this ellipse onto the background. And so now we're well on our way to getting that glossy glass effect. But let's make a copy of this particular layer, the one we just created here with the ellipse. So I'm just going to do another drag and copy over here. So now we have two layers. So I'm just going to move the second layer down and just adjust it just a little. So I'm going to make it a little bit thicker to go over the D, and I'm just going to pinch it in a little bit. Alright, and I hit enter, and it looks pretty good, but probably a little too white, so why don't we tone down the opacity just a little. Let's make it like about 60% of the opacity, and you can see it gives you that illusion that there's a light source coming from the top, which is actually what exactly we were going for. Lastly, what we want to do is we want to show some light coming from behind the D and the C. So what we'll do is we'll go over to the layers panel and go right below the DC. I'll just create another layer, and in this case I'm going to pick a brush that has more of a softer edge. So let's do it again, but with a softer edge, and you can see how much nicer that looks. We can also turn the opacity down on this just to give it a better look. So that effectively is our logo. Hopefully you got some tips and tricks out of this that will help you with your projects going forward. If you have any comments, please leave them on this YouTube page, and I will speak to you